Welcome to a very special Mike Mark Music Podcast. And we'll get into why it's special as we get into the show a little bit. How you doing, Mark?
Good. I'm Mark Tillman, and this is my trusty colleague, Mike Obb.
Sitting down in my basement bar.
I think we need to rename this. I've been referring to this as the Studio and Lounge.
Okay, that's fine.
The famous Mike Obb Studio and Lounge in Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Yes, on the London Lane in Mount Laurel.
There we go.
Very popular place. I get a lot of crowd down here on some nights, usually around Christmas time.
Yeah, I understand this place goes off like a frog in a sock is how it's been described to me.
Many different people have been behind this bar serving drinks. Oddly enough, I'm usually not the one serving drinks behind the bar.
I'm ready to have a turn at that at some stage.
Well, there'll be plenty of chances, I'm sure.
Well, Mike, it's been a very interesting weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. Here in the United States. In Australia, it's Father's Day weekend.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so a shout-out to all the dads in Australia that are listening to the show.
So happy Father's Day, all you Australian dads.
Too right. And what have you been doing this weekend, Mike?
I had a few of our beer of the weeks too many on Saturday at your house.
Oh, and
I was at a party at your house. An incredible catered event.
Yes,
by the Tillman family in celebration of a big birthday with a 0 at the end.
Yeah, and it's not 3-0, and it's no longer 4-0.
It's now 5-0.
That's right.
Happy birthday to my cohort.
Thank you.
In crime, Mr. Mark Tillman, who turned 50 today.
It is officially.
Today he's officially 50. So
I'm
amazing that we're doing a podcast on his 50th birthday.
I don't know what else I'd rather be doing.
I don't know. Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Thank you.
So, so today's my birthday, and so I thought I would take a look at some other notable birthdays that I get to share with some people that are way more famous than I am. So,
well, that's debatable.
Are you
ready?
We'll
see who they are.
Okay.
Before we determine if they're more famous than you. I
bet
they don't have podcasts.
That's a good question. So I'm going to start in the sports world. There's a very famous Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback who shares my birthday. Very famous.
Very famous. So
the most famous Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback.
Yeah, that would be not Roger Stone. I almost said it.
He owned him though a few times.
Terry Bradshaw.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah, Terry Bradshaw.
I was
September
thinking of
2nd.
somebody more obscure, but I wasn't going to use Big Ben. I was trying to think of somebody else.
You know what? There's actually another one too. One of those mid-'90s quarterbacks. Not Cordell Stewart, but
that's what I was wanting to say. Cordell.
I'll think of his moment. Those, if you want to correct me, you can just write in and tell me which one it was. Might be Tommy Maddox, though.
Tommy Maddox.
Also September 2nd. A little younger than our man, Terry. One more in the sports world. Famous tennis player, probably in the same, maybe a little younger than Terry Bradshaw. Left-handed, not from New York, but a bitter rival of Mr. McEnroe.
Be Jimmy Connors.
That would be correct, sir. Ding, 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 ding. So Jimmy Connors, September 2nd as well.
He looks probably a little bit older than 50, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's got to be in his mid-60s, I would say.
I would think, yeah.
Yep. But what a fantastic tennis player in his own right, no doubt. If you watch tennis in the late 70s and early 80s, he was a staple of that. Okay, a couple more. Very famous actor, pretty well known for some of his charitable givings. He's an action movie, but I still think his best movie is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Keanu Reeves, wow. September 2nd.
Wow.
And I actually know the year of that one, 1964. So, little Keanu Reeves thing there.
Excellent. Most excellent.
New
movie coming out.
Yes, I heard they're doing another.
I'm very excited.
Bill and Ted's.
Yep.
So obviously tapping into the our generation.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, good grief! And then one more, and an actress. I honestly couldn't tell you any movie that she was in except for the movie Frida, which I've not seen. All I know is that she is so easy on the eyes, Mike.
Frida, what is that about? Like ABBA or something?
No. No. It's about
I never saw it.
uh,
Obviously,
a South American women's rights advocate and leader. But I've not seen the movie either. But Selma Hayek is on the list.
Yes. Oh,
And she's also September 2nd. So
I couldn't tell you any movies that she was in either.
Right? I mean, we all know who she is. Oh, she was in those movies with Tony Banderas. Those the Desperado movies.
The Zorro movies.
Yeah, and no. That's Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Okay,
I think.
But Antonio Banderas was Zorro, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And there you go.
And now the phone's ringing.
Yep. And that's that.
So much for that.
Okay, so there's also been a couple really interesting, notable events on September 2nd. In 1989, the Cars' Rick Ocasek married supermodel Paulina Porskova.
I have that one, yep.
And guys everywhere asked why, and the answer is?
I have no idea.
I guess it's
the
just
Cars.
what she needed.
Just what she needed, that's right.
All right, the number one song in the UK, the year I was born, September 2nd, 1969. A household favorite, Mike. The year 2525 by Zagger and Evans. Are you familiar with that?
I am very familiar with that song. I remember listening to that when I was a wee lad.
Oh, boy. See, I thought I was going to stump you with that.
Nope.
I had never heard that song
You never
before.
heard that song?
No, not until...
Because they keep on going in the year 35, 35, 45. It kind of gets really...
Yeah, no, I have to admit, when I was doing some show prep for this, I heard that and went, that was a number one? Are you kidding me?
But you had never heard that song?
No.
Wow.
Not heard it.
Wow, I can't believe that.
The number one song in the U.S. and Australia was Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Now we've got some credibility.
Okay.
At least someone was listening with the right ears. So what do you have for this week in music, Mike?
Well, I have, besides your birthday, 1995. Today, in 1995, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened.
Oh, wow. Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend of 1995. Go figure that. So that's I have that. Also, yesterday, for all our Australian watchers / listeners, in 1979, which you would be 10, right?
10, yeah.
Right before you turn 10. INXS had their live debut in Sydney.
Wow.
I can't believe you didn't pick that up.
I did not see that. I probably should have. Seeing as that's one of, their... Okay, there's the Mount Rushmore, and then there's the people that lead up to that. And INXS is certainly in that group.
They're in that
right,
conversation, for sure.
You're not going to have a bad day listening to 4 or 5 of their albums.
No,
right?
definitely not.
So,
and then tomorrow, in 1990, George Michael released "Listen with Prejudice," which has Freedom 90, and Praying for Time and Heal the Pain were the big hits off of that song, off that album, that song.
Those are. So George Michael's probably best known for his pop work and so forth, but man, he could write lyrics too.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, he certainly could sing, and he certainly has a stage presence, but he put in the hard yards to get everything just so. Really, I can't say he's underappreciated, but I still think if you listen to his stuff now, it still holds up.
Oh, it holds up for sure. I mean, I kind of like a lot of this stuff. I wasn't a big fan at the time, but I really do. I've grown to appreciate George Michael a lot. More of his solo stuff than Wham, but that doesn't discredit any of the Wham stuff.
I think I find myself more in the Wham camp as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, Club Tropicana is a great song.
Great
I love
stuff.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and then, of course, what's the last Christmas? You have to see how long you can go over Christmas before you listen to that.
I think we're starting to hear that now pre-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely. So.
We're going to do, as we get closer to the holidays, we're going to do some of the best new wave music for Christmas listeners. And man, do I have some choices that you're going to have to get stuck into.
I'm going to have to find some.
Oh, come on. The Pet Shop Boys, Madness, of course, David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Right.
But a lot of artists have actually done either Christmas EPs or albums in their own right. So that's going to be fun to talk about. But not today.
Not today. So what are we talking about today?
Oh, well, one of the first, we'll call him an artist, but he's probably better recognized behind the boards as a producer. And some have called him the godfather of new wave music, Trevor Horn. And when you take a look at the width and breadth of his career, not, again, in front of the mic and behind as a production person. What are you laughing at? What have I done?
Break.
Oh, okay. His you got to tell me now. Come on.
I didn't think we were doing Trevor Horn today, but I'm all right. I got some stuff for Trevor because we had talked about doing something else, and I did all my prep on that. But that's fine. That'll be for next time. I do have stuff for Trevor Horn that because we talked about doing that for the second show, so I still have that. So it's all good. It's all good.
There you go. So you know how dialed in we are today. So but before we get into what are we going to do next so we can actually get
beer of the week.
Beer of the week. So let's take a break. We'll get on the same page and come back with beer of the week. Beer of the week.
Yeah,
beer of the week. But before we get into beer of the week,
you might want to stop.
Oh, no. I love the ambient noise. That's what makes some of these. Yeah,
okay.
Your mom's here.
No, your wife's here.
Oh, not your mom. My spouse has come to join the
festivities.
Get the podcast experience. Although she's not come down to the studio and lounge yet, so we'll introduce her at some point.
Yeah. So tell us about this glass here.
Okay, so.
Before we get into the beer.
Yeah, so one of my birthday presents was actually from my sister-in-law, Stephanie Wilson, who lives down in Reston, Virginia. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for listening. You rock. And she is a listener to the podcast, a subscriber, and she noted that when we do Beer of the Week that we don't have a proper vessel to consume these beers in. So she took it upon herself to find some sort of glass etcher to make our very own trademarked Mike Mark Music glasses that we are now going to, every time we do Beer of the Week, and even when we don't do Beer of the Week, we will be consuming said beers out of these lovely, lovely glasses. So
yes.
if it doesn't come up on the video screen very well.
We'll get a picture. We'll get somebody to get a picture of it.
It has this shield and the name of our podcast on it, and it's just really thoughtful. So, Stephanie, again, cheers to you. And
I think this was an awesome birthday present.
Yeah.
And I get to enjoy it, too. So
that's right. That's right. So, I mean, again, the social element of this podcast knows no bounds. So that's good. So, Mike, what is our brewery of choice today?
Our brewery of choice is Spellbound Brewery in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Which is one of our favorite breweries. It's a little. We have some excitement of the canine variety going on in the background. Anyway,
high budget.
Yeah, high budget filming. It's in Mount Holly, New Jersey. It's one of the better known breweries in South Jersey, and I think they brew some of the best beer in New Jersey. Their facility is great. They have about 15 beers on tap all the time. I was actually there last weekend with my brother, and we sampled some of their fine wares.
Yeah, no, we've been there together once.
Yep.
And
just once.
Just once, which is. We'll have to correct that. It's the people that are pouring the beers know exactly what they're talking about. They'll set you up. The brewmeisters, the three guys that are the principals, Mike, John, and Scott. They are, younger dudes that know exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
It is delightful. So what do we got today?
We have their pale ale.
Yep.
Which I believe you're going to be drinking, right?
No, we're switching. You're going to go.
Switching. I'm
Yeah.
taking the pale ale.
Yeah.
And then their porter.
Oh, okay. Let me.
So.
Because now that I'm 50.
Yeah, I need to go get glasses.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell that story later. All right, so we can actually read this on the webpage, but it's much better to read it off the can.
When you have glasses.
Yes.
And not glasses to drink out of, which we do have now.
Full of dark deliciousness. This medium-bodied brew is highlighted by subtle notes of chocolate and coffee. Intriguing and complex. Our porter is robust without being overly malty. We use a hint of dark roasted malts to balance the finish. So there you go. That's how they describe their porter. Let me describe it for you after I pour it in my new glass.
So they also have this porter. This porter has been award-winning at the Great American Beer Festival.
That is the perfect pour, by the way. About
that is very good.
Inch of foam on top to correct the nose. There's only one word. Delightful.
It is very delightful.
Oh,
it's one of my favorite, if
great.
not my favorite porter.
That is a good beer.
And they have a one that's aged in wine barrels of some sort, Sao Paulo porter. That's even better. It's phenomenal on draft. If you get it on draft, it's awesome. I will say the pale ale is also delicious, very smooth, and it rocks, man. I really like the pale ale.
Yep. Well, that's good because you're not. I guess you're not an India pale ale guy, but the pale ale is.
Well, you're not. That's the misnomer. I keep telling everybody. I enjoy an IPA, but I only like to have one of them. I can't drink IPAs all night long. I will drink one IPA, and then I need to switch to something else. And usually, if I have an IPA, I like it to be my first beer, because usually they're a little more on the bitter side, or hoppy, and I like that first beer to be like that. And then I want to switch to something that's a little smoother.
So the pale ale has an ABV of 5.5. That's alcohol by volume, everybody. What I don't understand is the term IBU. International Beer Unit?
No, bitterness.
Oh.
It's bitterness.
Okay,
so the higher the IBU, the more bitter the beer.
So the pale ale is a 35.
It's that's not
And so
small,
is the porter, by the way.
Huh.
Although it has a higher ABV of 6.9. So
they also have a Belgian triple. That's Belgian cherry triple.
That's the
phenomenal.
Cherry. Yeah, I know someone who really enjoys that cherry triple.
I know. And they now have it bourbon barrel aged, which is really, really good. They just when we went there last week, my wife had that.
Not today.
And she had one, and it was delicious. It was delicious. I got to sample it. I had the non-bourbon barrel aged, and she had the bourbon barrel, and it was very good.
Now, since it's now September, there's a phenomenon that happens with now the craft brews.
I know where this is going.
And it involves a certain squash.
Yeah.
What is your view of using pumpkin mash in beer production?
I try to avoid it. I'm not a pumpkin guy. I mean, I like pumpkin pie, but I don't like pumpkin spice in my beer. To me, I don't know. Maybe it's just too trendy. Maybe that's why I don't like it. I don't like things that are trendy.
Oh, okay, so when Pabst Blue Ribbon
like
comes out with a spiked coffee, are you going to be drinking that?
No, because I don't usually drink coffee anyway. Actually, the next cup of coffee I have will be my first cup of coffee.
Well, then how do you know if you don't like it?
I've tasted it.
Well, then
I just
it can't
don't
be
enjoy it.
Oh,
I mean, I get my caffeine through other ways.
Are you a 5-hour energy guy?
No.
Oh.
I'll drink a soda when I'm like a Mountain Dew or something if I need a caffeine hit.
So okay, getting back to Spellbound.
Yes.
Some of their seasonals are they look so interesting. A coffee and maple imperial stout.
Yeah, that's on tap right now
Brute
too.
IPA would be interesting. So you can see that there's a great deal of creativity they bring to bear in what they're trying to do, and which I guess is the hallmark of any.
And they bring their beers everywhere. I mean, they are not shy about taking their beers on the road and letting people sample them at beer tastings and festivals and competitions and things like that. They're out there. They put their beer out there. You can get them in the local liquor stores. I think you can certainly get them over in Pensy also at the beer distributors. At least I know people who have gotten it. So it's an awesome brewery. I mean, they're certainly one of my favorites. I think I've said to everybody I do a growler exchange at work where everybody brings a growler and you kind of trade off growlers. If I bring Spellbound in, it's usually the first one taken. So everybody loves it when they bring Spellbound in. So, I wish I could take it.
Well, you can. You just
I can,
have to
but
bring
I never
two, give one.
Usually I do. Usually if I go there, I usually get a small one for myself. I get a 32 for me and a 64 for the people at work.
So I think you can tell when we want to highlight a beer, it's because we really like it.
Yes.
And we're going to tout it to our audience. If you are a owner of a microbrewery, and we don't care if you're local or international.
Yeah, feel free to send a beer to us, and we will be happy to drink it
Absolutely.
on the spot and give you our honest opinion.
No doubt.
I will say we haven't given a bad review yet.
There you go.
So take that under consideration.
We've tasted a few that we didn't put on the show.
That's true, but nobody sent them to us.
No, we brought them ourselves.
Yes.
That's true. All right, well, there we go. Spellbound. If you're local, get there, and if you can find it in a liquor store near you, definitely avail or a restaurant near you, avail yourself to it because it is
very tasty.
It's a wonderful compliment to just hanging out or food or what have you. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back
with some Trevor Horn
with singers.
Oh, what about Trevor Horn?
No, you said singers.
No, Trevor Horn's fine. We'll go with Trevor.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine with Trevor Horn.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay, it's time for an in-depth look at one
singers.
of the pioneers of. I'd throw this beer at you.
Come on, Simon LeBon.
Yeah, sure. We're going to do an in-depth look at one of the most
Simply Red.
Simply Red, sure.
Holding Back the Years, great song.
Yeah.
But very interesting. Not the rest of their catalog because
no.
Oh, sorry, different show. Continue.
I can't believe you brought them up because they're on my deserted island this week. Wow. Anyway.
Okay, hold on. So someone asked me about the top I'm wearing. This is the Richmond Tigers home Guernsey, and it's their home Guernsey because, well, it's actually their away Guernsey as well. But they're doing really well this year, and so I'm going to give a shout-out to two of my best buddies in Australia, Trevor Poole and Alan McKellar, who both played any number of games for the Richmond Football Club.
Most excellent.
Do
they watch the podcast?
They will this one, I can tell you right now. So for the rest of them, Simon Verbeek, Flea, not that Flea, but Dale Waitman and Michael. I want you guys to make sure that you are looking at this podcast and enjoying it because this music is all about you. Okay, continue.
Okay, before we got sidetracked for the 5,000th time.
Simple minds.
We are going to talk about who I would have to say is one of the pioneers of new wave music, and that would be Trevor Horn.
Yep.
Trevor Horn, as many people know, started the Buggles and hit it big, quasi big with "Video Killed the Radio Star."
The first video ever
played on MTV.
The first video
ever on MTV in 1981. Although the song came out in 1979. I'm a big fan of Trevor as well as Jeff Downs, who was his keyboard player at the time. But that's just the tip of the iceberg for Trevor Horn. He has done lots of things with lots of artists. He certainly, his other band that he is noted for starting is the Art of Noise. he was. And feel free to jump
No,
in
you're
whenever
doing
you
great.
want.
I mean, but talk about the Art of Noise. Like, when was the first time you heard
Oh, it was
an
MTV.
Art of Noise song?
It was MTV, and it was the song "Close to the Edit," which is one of the most bizarre videos I think MTV has ever had on. And
Has to be.
It's this little girl dressed all as a punk rocker, and the guys in the band just destroying all kinds of instruments, pianos, violins, I believe, and they're all like in like a railroad depot of some sort. It is an unbelievable video.
I think they're best described as avant-garde synth pop.
Definitely synth pop.
If you were taking, like, going down the rabbit hole of this kind of music, right? You got introduced to Duran Duran and then something like that came on. You're like, God, that's really interesting. I want to hear the rest of that. And then you put it on at home because you listened to the albums or the tapes,
right.
And it was like nothing else you would ever. So the only thing that came close was like the German band Kraftwerk.
Oh yes.
Or even
very similar actually.
In some of the, like, his early stuff that what Thomas Dolby was experimenting with. But it was so far off the beaten path that MTV even showed it was amazing to me.
Yeah, I have to agree. But that was also, don't forget, in the early days of MTV. I'm not exactly sure when Close to the Edit came out, but it couldn't have been that much later than 1981. I mean, it was maybe 1982, 1983 at the very latest. I mean, Buggles were already done by then. I mean,
sure.
So, there was, they were different. And then they had Peter Gunn, as we were listening to they did a remake of Peter Gunn. And it was an interesting video with that also. Same girl, actually, I believe, is in it, although she's quite a bit older at that point. But it's, their videos were definitely bizarre, to say the least, which I think Trevor Horn is kind of that, kind of leaned towards that. And,
Do you remember the song Moments in Love?
Not off the top of my head.
So it's basically a 10-minute instrumental song with released in 1985, and I remember it because it was quite popular as a late night option, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So so that's an interesting comment to make with your spouse sitting in the couch.
Yes, exactly. I was laughing at that myself.
Yeah, I thought you might, but if we're going to be transparent, you have to be, right? So if you were doing,
I have a feeling you're going to be talking about that later.
No. Well, it is my birthday.
That's true.
So yeah, so they had that, and then they in No Sense Nonsense came out in 1987. If you remember that album, Yes, No, Maybe So. So they did. Tom Jones appeared on that with.
Well, he did production work for Tom Jones.
Pick a Better Dance Now. Remember that? It was such a great song. So again, they were not afraid to break barriers with artists. And so again, you get a guy that's, this is his project, and then he's working with so many other artists of that time frame. People sought him out, even though he was a little bit of a control freak. But
he had his own publishing company.
Yeah, that's right.
And who did he sign? Who was his first signing on the publishing company?
J.K. Rowling's?
No.
Oh.
Music publishing.
Oh, music. I don't know.
Yeah, yes. There's somebody that he did production work for early on.
Prince.
Frankie.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Yeah. Of course.
Of course, the Art of Noise also, needless to say. And he, between him and...
Do you know who else he produced? He produced Seal's first album.
I was going there. That was my next comment.
Great.
He did Seal. He did some Rod Stewart, Mark Allman. He did... We were talking about Tom Jones. He produced... I think him and Ann Dudley produced You Can Leave Your Hat On.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're... and that's just the tip of the iceberg with him. He was in Yes for a while, was he not?
Yes, and... Yes. But if you had told me what albums he was part of, I would have no idea. But
it's 90125, I'm pretty sure, because that's kind of like their poppy phase, and they were kind of weird songs. Some of it, it kind of
prog rock
in there. Yeah. Well, I'm a big Yes fan, so.
Yep.
I think he was on that one. He might have been on the one after that, too. I can't remember the name of that album. It was 90125, and then I don't remember. Love Will Find a Way is on that the second album I think he was on. But whatever.
The other interesting album for the art for me was the Seduction of Claude Debussy. And if you have not listened, it is truly something you have to listen to all the way through, because there's a great deal of complexity to that album, and how it's formed, how it's put together, the musical passages. But the thing that kills me about it is the actor from Silence of the Lambs is a voiceover actor for that. So who's that?
Oh, man.
Yes, Karen.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony
yes.
Hopkins. Yeah.
Tony. Yeah. Hey, Tony.
Picture me saying the following. It is incredible. And then you go from Anthony or Tony Hopkins to rap artists in this just incredible cacophony of sounds. There's strings, there's drum and bass elements. It's all swirling around in a way that it works too.
What instruments did he play?
So I understand him to be a bass player.
Yeah, I remember him as
right?
a bassist, and yes, so that's the only thing I remember. I'm sure most bassists can also play guitar,
right?
But what else?
I get the sense, because he's a classically trained musician, that he's happy to write parts for everything else, even if he doesn't play it. So, for instance, so not in the same genre, Billy Joel has written orchestral arrangements, even though he can't play the violin and so forth. He described and very complex piano concertos, even though he doesn't have the function. He his own words, not mine, can't play it himself. So I would suspect, low achiever.
I can't believe
Billy
that.
Joel. God,
jeez.
Billy, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah, I certainly do.
Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, such a great song.
We could. That's totally off topic, but I'm a huge Billy Joel fan.
Yeah, flying in from Long Island to play the Garden. Good
Yeah.
grief. So I would suspect that he has the ability to write, and he certainly can, because he's a producer, to say, hey, let's do this and this and this, even though he may not be able to functionally play whatever instrument that is. But when you see him play, so he had the Trevor Horn project or band or something like that, he's playing the bass. He's playing the bass.
Interesting.
So
So what else you got on Trevor?
So that time, like that late 90s, when he got the reunion of The Art of Noise, was not necessarily how I acquainted myself, but was in my estimation some of their best work. And so really enjoyed that. Some of the items, the songs that have been remixed by various DJs and artists are also remarkable to me. And then to go back to working with Seal, I mean, he got a Grammy for that.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Him or Seal or both?
I think they both did.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
So when you distill his career, that starts in the mid 70s, I suppose.
How old is he?
Wow, that's a really good question.
65 or so, or
it's got to be.
We have him up there.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't say his birth date.
See, now I stumped you.
You did.
You drug everything to a halt now because you don't. He's 70. Thank you.
See, that's where our producer, if he wasn't playing video games, could help us.
I know. That's what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be looking stuff up as we forget it.
So, yeah.
Apparently he doesn't care.
I think if you are a Trevor Horn fan, sure, the Buggles are fun. And we haven't even talked about Video Killed the Radio Star. It's not even the best song on that album.
What is the best song?
Living in the Plastic Age.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. True.
And I don't think it's not even close, but yeah. And then the Seduction of Claude Debussy by The Art of Noise, I think, is in my estimation their best effort to date. And I will say that he probably has more left in him, just given what he does, and they're still performing live. You can go see the Trevor Horn band perform.
Well, everybody is still performing live. I mean, Rolling Stones were still performing live.
Yes,
they've been retired. They've gone their farewell tour about 40 times.
Are they producing anything new?
Actually, I think they are. I think they have a new record.
There you go.
But that's neither here nor there. Totally off topic. Well, not totally.
Hey,
but
Billy Joel, the Rolling Stones, and Trevor Horn all in the same segment. That's pretty good. Well, is there anything left to say about him except to say we tip our cap to a guy that was a
pioneer,
no
pioneer in the new wave genre.
So let's take a break, and then we'll get back to our one of our last deserted desert island, because we're gonna have to move to the ski après ski lounge as we move into the autumn and the winter.
All right.
So
we'll be back.
Sounds good. It's island time.
It's island time.
Island time.
Yes.
So it's summer, and now I want to go to a lodge and après ski. Should we call it mountain time?
Mountain time. Okay. Deserted mountain.
Well, if you're going to do freshies in the back bowl, maybe. No. Island is the way to go. Yeah.
So it's your birthday, so you have to go first.
No. See, because it's my birthday, I can make you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want me to. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a birthday for today that relates to my first song.
Okay, go.
So the keyboardist Fritz McIntyre, who, as everybody I'm sure knows, is the keyboardist
It's a household name.
Household name is the keyboardist for
Fritz. Oh, Simply Red.
Simply Red. So Simply Red, as I mentioned before, what we were going to be doing singers today, and I was going to be talking about singers.
Trevor Horn didn't produce Simply Red?
Trevor Horn didn't produce Simply Red. Well, he may have. I don't know.
Gee whiz.
So I'm going to do a Simply Red song as one of my Deserted Island discs. And I'm not doing Holding Back the Years. I'm going to hold that one because
we're going to do new wave ballads at some point.
And I think that's I'll break that down at some point. And I think that's a good song to go with that. But I'm going to do a Stars, which is ironically from the album Stars, from 1991. It's just a good soulful pop song. I think is the way I would describe Simply Red to begin with, except for their ballads. I mean, I just like the song. It's very easy listening for me. And I like a lot of easy listening type of stuff. Not too mellow, not too loud. I mean, it's not certainly not from my heavy metal phase, certainly.
Nope.
Which continues, but just in a different way. But this was, I said, released in November of 1991. I think it got to number 8 in the UK. It charted in the US, but I think it only got to 44. So that's my first one. That's probably the one I have the least to talk about. But, I mean, you can. Do you have anything for Simply Red?
I love Simply Red. His voice is singular in my estimation. I think the keyboard work is Bruce Hornsby-esque.
Yes.
The lyrics are great.
He writes some good lyrics.
I mean, you could say it's a guilty pleasure, but there's a lot of sophistication to not just the early stuff that they did, but even some of the later work that he's done has just been phenomenal. This particular album, one good song after another. So,
and when we do singers, I plan on bringing Mick Hucknall up. Certainly, I mean, as one of the more recognizable voices. There's only certain vocalists that you can. We're getting a lot of residual dog barking. There's only certain vocalists that you can hear them and you know exactly what band.
Yes.
It is. And I think Mick is one of those guys. When he's singing, it's Simply Red. Kind of same with Duran Duran and Pet Shop Boys and things like that. And, exactly who it is.
And when you marry that with Simply Red, he's got this used to this long schlock of red hair.
Yeah, he was definitely a towhead.
And if you've ever watched him perform live, I mean, he's moving it around all over the place, and it's great. So I love that. That's a fantastic song.
Okay, so my second song is a band that I know is one of your favorites, and that's XTC. Life Begins at the Hop, which is I don't think it was actually on an album per se. It was released in April of 1979, so it's in the beginnings of New Wave.
Yep.
It references, I was a big, believe it or not, a doo-wop fan when I was younger.
Okay.
I was really into Sha-Na-Na and Bowser and all that stuff. And they actually refer to a song, At the Hop, which was released in 1957 by, I have this written down, Danny and the Juniors.
Yes.
And then redone by Sha-Na-Na. And the song, the At the Hop song, was actually featured in American Graffiti, the movie, which was a phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of our listeners or watchers certainly have seen it.
Not the young ones.
Yeah, the young ones, certainly not. But young kids, go see American Graffiti, get it on Netflix or wherever. It shouldn't be that expensive, certainly.
Is Ron Howard in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Howard's one of the stars in that. But this is a great song. It's certainly a danceable song.
Is that right up there with Corvette Summer with Mark Hamill?
I love that movie. I love that. When that came out, I remember seeing that. It was awesome.
Corvette Summer. But yeah.
So my story with this song, and the reason that I have gotten to like it, is just recently. I auditioned for a band not too long ago that was a new wave band. I always said that I wanted to do a new wave band. You and I have kind of dabbled, and hopefully we'll continue to dabble some more in the coming weeks in new wave, playing new wave stuff. So I sat in on an audition with this band, and they asked me to learn this song, and I was like, listening to the song, I was like, XTC,
Andrew Partridge,
yeah, and I was
brilliant,
and I listened to the song, I was like, man, this song's really good, and so it's gotten on my playlist.
Jeez, like. What do you mean? I've been telling you about XTC for weeks, months, years now.
So I'm finally coming around, I guess. Now I haven't gotten around to Joe Jackson yet, but I'm definitely coming around to XTC.
Okay.
So that's number two.
Before we get off of XTC, have you seen the rockumentary that they've done? It was on Showtime. It's available on Netflix.
I have Showtime. What's the name of it?
It might be. It may very well be Life Begins at the Hop, the XTC story. Or I'm just making that up. Either way, if you look at XTC and you Google that, it's phenomenal. And they use miniature trains like Thomas the Tank Engine to sort of tell the story of the band and their early days and some of their as they move through their sort of history. They are one of the probably, and I believe this, an underappreciated act as a trio, and a lot of that is they didn't tour because the dude had stage fright. He simply couldn't be out there. So the bulk of their work is the studio, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth listening.
Are they still active?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's written some stuff for some TV shows in the last, say, 10 years, but I try and stay a little bit in tune with that, but I haven't. But even the stuff that they've done 10 years ago, Apple Venus or whatever it was called, so good. God, it's good. So I'm glad you like this older stuff, because as you now familiarize yourself with the catalog, we might just do a show on XTC. Yeah.
I know we talked about doing that the first podcast. Afterwards, I think you brought up XTC in one of your deserted islands, or maybe your influences. I think it was I think it was your early new wave influences, and we're like, after the show, we were like, oh, we got to do a show on XTC. I'm ready to do that. So maybe that's next time.
We're only making plans for Michael.
Yes, I'm very selfish. Anyway, so my third song is pushing the envelope a little bit of new wave, kind of like I did with Simply Red. But hey, it's my island.
It is your island.
And that's the Members, the song "Working Girl." So the Members are a punk band, more known for punk. Although if you listen to enough of their stuff, they're really, I don't know if I would classify them as a punk band. The stuff that we've listened to,
I think in hindsight, that's unless you saw them live. And okay, so are the Police a punk band? Because if you saw them in their early days, you would have to say that was sort of their oeuvre.
And the Go-Go's probably were also.
Yeah, but I'd have to say there's probably more to this band than just kicking over mic stands and bashing guitars.
So this is from the album Up Rhythm Down Beat, which the song was released in 1981. It never really charted much on any particular music chart. I think it got to number 41 in the UK, I think 34 in the US or something.
It's a great
like
song.
But it's a really it's a really good song. I really enjoy the harmonies on this. And that's kind of, a lot of the songs that I pick are based on good harmonies, and that's one of the things. I never was a good singer, but I always appreciate good harmonies in bands, and this is a band that certainly has that. Certainly, at least on this song and some of the other songs that we listened to before we came back on, and it's just it's another song that's, hey, I'm in love with a working girl. I mean, that's great. And of course, I'm in love with a working girl who's not working. I hope she's not watching or listening upstairs.
I'm staying out of this because only bad things going to happen next. There's too many moving parts here.
So those are my three songs: Simply Red, XTC, The Members.
Do you remember the video for this song?
Yeah, and actually, that's
Working Girl, the music video gave the band exposure in North America via MTV. But it's one of those, low volume. He has more of a baritone voice, and then the chorus comes in and crashes over the top, and it's a good little song. I'm not gonna lie to you, the feel that. This has a Joe Jackson feel to it.
Yeah, you mentioned that. When I said it.
So,
which was funny.
Push. But yeah, I think it's great. The Members sound towards an incorporation of reggae shown in the first single for Stiff Records.
Stiff Records.
Solitary Confinement.
Look them up.
Yeah. Which might be another thing that we might have to look at is record labels and radio stations.
Radio stations
that
could
pushed,
be a big one, yeah.
This kind of music.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so what do you got? Those are my three. What do you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with a song that from a band that had a number one hit in the United States, actually, but I found that song not to be as meaningful to me as opposed to some of the other stuff. So the band is Wang Chung.
A great band. An awesome band live.
So now I'm going to speak to Alex Palma here. Alex Palma and I had a conversation yesterday about how the name Wang Chung came about. And it was his view, and I'm not saying this is incorrect, that Wang Chung is actually two different strokes of the Chinese alphabet.
Got me.
But Wikipedia says...
well,
so,
must be right.
So it must be true that their name, Wang Chung, means something else because it actually started as a different name, but they changed it because the original name was Hueng Chung, which everybody thought was pronounced Hung Chung. And that's not going to get you airplay in the United States in 1982. That dog's not going to hunt. So they changed their name. But it meant something else besides the alphabet. So maybe we'll get a hold of them and they'll confirm which one is correct. But either way, it's one of the more interesting names.
Oh, for sure.
Of a band. And if you go to their website, their name has been referenced on so many different things. It's in The Family Guy. It's in The Simpsons. It's in a bunch of different television shows and movies. So
they have some great music. I mean, and I've had the pleasure of seeing them live. And
oh, really?
When I saw them, I saw them with Berlin, ABC, Cutting Crew, and that might have been it. And Wang Chung was right up there with the rest of those bands as far as, their, the quality of the set. I mean, it was.
So they're incredible musicians. I mean, so the Wang Chung is primarily the two
guys,
front
yeah.
dudes, right? The bass player and then the singer, and what are their names?
Only one was there when I saw them. The bass player was he had visa problems
Nick
or something
Feldman
he couldn't get over.
And Jack Hughes. You know who produced Mosaic?
Trevor Horn?
No. No, but you mentioned him before. He's had a solo career, but was the lead singer of a band where the band's called somebody else. It's his name.
Oh, I have no idea.
I should have described that better. So, if I said Centerfold,
Jay Giles,
right, and
Peter Wolf
produced Mosaic, which is the album
really?
that the song has come out. So, and the song is called "Hypnotize Me,"
which is a very good song.
And if you know that song very well, you'll know that it was also in the movie Inner Space.
I did not know that. Not Inner Space. I enjoyed Inner Space. I haven't
Inner
only seen it once,
Space
though.
is not on your go-to movies
No,
on a
it's
daily
not.
basis?
It's a good movie. I enjoyed
Dennis Quaid,
it, but I'm not.
Meg Ryan, Martin Short, Dick Trickle. No?
I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. I don't recall this song being in it, though. I do like the song, though. It's a great song.
So
I just like Wang Chung.
One of the things that Wang Chung has recently done is this year they went back and re-recorded a bunch of their hits with the Prague Philharmonic, and so they've added string arrangements to these pop songs.
Prague, of course, being the town, not the genre of music.
Right.
Because the first when you said that earlier, I was like,
clarify.
Prague. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, the progressive Philharmonic. I just figured it out.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I need Doofus Rick, man.
So, if you have a chance, if you are a Wang Chung fan and you are interested in see where their headspace is at, go get what's the name of the album? Orchestrography. They've tried to blend orchestra and graphy together, and however you want to say that, be my guess.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first song. The second song is by a band that is probably a hallmark of most people's new wave catalog, and that's the band Naked Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are they? Refresh our memory.
So
what are they most known for?
Naked Eyes did a remake of a song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. Did you know that that's a remake?
No, I did not.
Always Something There to Remind Me is not an original song to them.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, there you go. So everybody remembers that song, and then one of the songs on that album is called When the Lights Go Out. So part of the show prep is you go back and you look at some of these videos.
Oh yeah, I love doing that.
Some of these videos could not be made today.
No.
And When the Lights Go Out is one of these videos, and I'll describe it to you because it's a young woman in bed, and when she goes to sleep, actors that played the dwarfs in the Hobbit movie come out and take her bed and throw it into a closet where she gets out of the closet and dances with some dude.
Okay. That's strange.
That's putting it mildly. It is more than strange. It is quintessentially 80s where you could do just about anything. Because no one was really watching. And if they were, they didn't really have a heart attack about, how incorrect that is. But it is incorrect. It's awful. It's
That's
uncomfortable
funny.
to watch, through the prism of 2019. At any rate, rather. So Burning Bridges was the name of the album that this song came off of, When the Lights Go Out. But it was in the United States, it was renamed just Naked Eyes, Naked Eyes. And even the album work is different. So we're looking at it now. If you remember,
Yeah, it's a lot different.
if you remember that album cover, it's sort of a, there's green eyes, but then there's mostly blue. It's kind of weird. It looks like.
Perhaps our producer will have it up on the screen.
Yeah, he can show both album covers. What was the to go back to the Australia? There's a famous outlaw that put an iron hat over his, like a knight over his face because he didn't want to get killed. Ned. Anyway, too late. Can't remember that. All right. So then the last song for me is, and I'm going to play it for my man here.
Yeah, because we're still on Wang Chung.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing.
Yes. Again, a song I'm not certain that would get like if you listen to the words of this song. Now we're listening to Dance Hall Days.
Yeah. Not one of my favorite Wang Chung songs, but
yeah. Again,
I like it though, but it's not.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's got a good beat. You can dance to it.
Yeah.
So My Ever-Changing Moods by the Style Council is the third song. And the Style Council is sort of the next Paul Weller vehicle that he could maybe explore some stuff that he wasn't able to do with kind of more of a punk band that he had called The Jam. So Paul Weller and Mick Talbot put together this blue-eyed soul outfit.
And that's exactly what it is too. I mean, we've talked. There are a lot of these bands we talk about would classify as blue-eyed soul. Like ABC kind of goes into that same genre. And I think Simply Red might actually also, but
yeah, I love these guys, how they come together and they figure out, hey, let's jam and figure out this music is so good. Let's take our own spin and put it together. And that's one of the things that these guys have done. It's if you listen to it's like Haircut 100, for instance, or with the what's that kind of guitar called? That big thing, the slinger.
I have no idea. I'm not a guitar aficionado.
Well, I know, but you're in bands. Anyway, a rhythm guitar, some funky bass, pocket drumming, and keyboards to give it, some sizzle, and then great vocals. And of course you have to
with
write
harmonies, which this song has.
Yes, that's right. So Mick Talbot and Paul Weller. Have you seen this video?
No, I have not.
So this video, that's the two of them riding these really crappy 10-speed bikes as sort of an homage to the Tour de France, right? And then every so often there's a flash of some of the political fights of the time. So Grenada and Afghanistan way back in the 80s and
Falkland Islands. And so that's sort of the transition between, the Tour de France, which is just this wonderful feel-good event, and then what other people are doing, trying to keep everybody from, not falling off the edge of the earth, I suppose. So yeah, and then they all get this, and there's sirens, like not sirens, like woo, but women in white robes of Roman style dancing around, and it's it's the 80s, videos. But yeah, great song, a song that we should think about doing. I really like it, the descant in it.
The what?
The descant, which is they're singing, like the guys singing the melody, and then there's somebody else that's kind of like a background singing higher. That's a descant.
Okay.
I really like. As my choir members know, I love descants, and that's something else. It's like another. I don't know if we could pull off a descant. I know I can't.
Why can't you? You can sing.
I can't sing.
Well, you can the bass line, and I'll just sing over the top of you.
All right. Well.
And there's harmonies in the horns and the saxophones
Yeah.
going on here. So yeah, so there's. So I'll put my hand up. I have not been doing a very good job of getting our Deserted Desert Island playlist updated on Apple Music. But now I have some free time, so I will be doing that. And our producer is going to actually hook you up with the link if you're interested in hearing these songs and also the ones that we've done from previous shows. So,
and if you want to email us your Deserted Island stuff, there's the email on the screen. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. That's about it. Anything else?
Hey, thanks so much for coming out and having it's been a great birthday weekend.
A big happy birthday to Mr. Mark Tillman, Big Tillman as he's called in Australia.
The Tillman.
The Tillman.
Mark Sheppo.
We'll see you next time. Take us out, Mark.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon. Listen to music. Listen to good music, and send us your suggestions. We're happy to hear them. All right. That's it for us.
That's it. See you.